past 3 years and the status of where Gary is right now with its climate resolution and how this initiative would support the region. So the City of Gary has participated in the Environmental Resilience Institute for about 3 years now, where we were assigned an extern to work with the city to do several things. One, to establish a sustainability inventory. This is of all the projects that we've done in the city that has some type of sustainable practices associated with it. In doing that inventory, we moved to the next phase where we did a greenhouse gas inventory community-wide as well as for the local municipalities. We had great externs and an AmeriCorps Vista person to work with us on that process and giving them some hands-on experience in working with local government. After we completed the greenhouse gas inventory, we had a set of recommendations that we made to the city. And then it led to us working with our mayor to come up with a resolution for resilience and recovery on climate change and how we can set some carbon emissions reduction targets so that we can help improve air quality and the quality of life for citizens here in the city of Gary. That initiative will be led by citizens and businesses. So we will establish a cohort or a committee who will lead the climate action planning process. During those phases in which we were collecting information so that we can complete the greenhouse gas inventory, we found it quite challenging to get information that was probably placed at a regional level or state level or federal level. And I think that if more cities participate in this, in such a effort, that it will help us in really compiling information that is readily available for any community that would like to move toward establishing climate reduction, emission reduction targets for their community. As you know, Lake County and Porter counties are two of the counties that still have to do vehicle emission testing. And I think that this is a way in which we can move toward getting off of those requirements. So that's all I have to say. I hope that this information is helpful in terms of us moving forward with climate action planning in Northwest Indiana. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. I appreciate your remarks, and thank you for your economy of speech. I appreciate that as well. Nancy Moldenhauer, are you here to speak to us, please?
I am. Thank you,
Welcome.
Michael.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm Nancy Moldenheim, a resident of Michigan City and LaPorte County. I am committed to all residents of Northwest Indiana experiencing health, well-being, and quality of life. As chair of the Michigan City Sustainability Commission, I'm here before you to verify that having a greenhouse gas emissions inventory completed by an Indiana University extern does establish a baseline which could have an impact on saving government costs through sustainability initiatives and would lower our community's carbon footprint via engaging programs. Michigan City completed our greenhouse gas emissions inventory in summer 2019 for $1,000. Gary just completed theirs this summer. These are the only two municipalities in Northwest Indiana to do so. With the unanimous endorsement of the members of the Michigan City Sustainability Commission, we have agreed that a region-wide approach would make much sense. We all breathe the same smog, and the pollution affects everyone. I'm requesting you, NERC Executive Board members, to consider passing the resolution already accepted unanimously by Lake and LaPorte County Commissions. That could result in better air quality in our area, which would be appropriate during the current coronavirus pandemic. Realize that by Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties working cooperatively, we would be able to join together financial resources and share Indiana University externs' expertise and time. The resilience cohort works with local governments to conduct these greenhouse gas inventories the first year and create sustainability action plans if the municipality or county chooses to participate the second year. 2019 was the first year of the resilience cohort and included 14 Indiana towns and cities, including my hometown of Michigan City. I hope we can count on NERPC to follow our lead by lending your support to this region-wide effort by passing the resolution. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you today.
You're most welcome, Ms. Mollenhauer, and thank you for bringing your remarks to us, and again, for your economy of language. Thank you for that as well. Is it Tegan or Tegan Massey?
Tegan Massey.
How do you do, Miss Massey? You are recognized to speak before the commission if you wish.
Okay. Hello, I'm Tegan Massey. I'm 8 years old and I love debating, math, reading, camping, and swimming. I'm from Crown Point, Indiana, and live on a small organic vegetable farm. Northwest Indiana is so beautiful and unique, and I love to visit all of the trails, the beaches, and nature parks. In order to protect our environment, we need to make changes. But in order to change, we must understand our complicated pollution problems and work together to find solutions like cleaner transportation and buying local. I want to be a part of creating a future where people will have clean air and water. For that reason, I traveled to Indianapolis in January to talk to lawmakers about protecting our environment. I met with Frank Marvan and told him how important action is. We need our government leaders to take action to protect our precious resources. Today, I want to ask you to support steps to inventory our carbon emissions so we can protect and make Northwest Indiana a healthy place for everyone to live.
Ms. Massey, thank you so much. I appreciate your remarks, and I especially appreciate at 8 years of age, you already have a higher sense of engaged citizenship than many of us who are supposed grown-ups. Thank you again for your remarks. I appreciate them very much. I know the commission does as well. Caroline Lofgren.
Yes, I'm here.
Ms. Lofgren, welcome. You are welcome to speak to the commission today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Caroline Lawhern. I'm a resident of Griffith, Indiana. I'm a student at Indiana University Northwest in the School of Public and Environmental Affairs. I currently study environmental policy because I'm passionate about creating healthy futures for generations to come. And as a student and an intern, I believe this resolution extends a valuable experience for students and young adults like me while bettering the region's communities. I hope you will support Resolution 2024. Thank you.
Ms. Lawford, thank you. I think that there's more than one Spion in the room. I happen to be a SPIA person who teaches the graduate class on public budget and finance. Perhaps I'll see you sometime.
I hope I will.
Great, thank you. It was good to have your remarks. Thank you again for them. Alex Bazan. Alex Bazan, are you here today?
Hi, this is Alex.
Hi, Mr. Bazan, welcome. Mr. Bazan is actually somebody that has already addressed the Highland Town Council, and he did a very good job there. Welcome this morning. The commission is open to what you have to say.
Yeah, I'll just speak very quickly. My name is Alex Bazan. I'm a Highland resident. I grew up in the region. Went to Purdue and the University of Michigan for undergrad and graduate school. A group of volunteers and I have been working to get Resolution 20-24 before you today. We've done a lot of outreach, education, fundraising for Northwest Indiana communities, and I ask you for your support for Resolution 20-24. It's smart, affordable, and the right thing to do. Thank you.
Mr. Bazan, thank you. Thank you for all the industry that you and your fellow volunteers are committing to this, and I especially appreciate your remarks today. Alyssa Guritz. I hope I've said that correctly. Ms. Guritz?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, welcome. We welcome you.
Thank you. So my name is Alyssa Juritz. I am a Crown Point resident. I've lived here my whole life, and I graduated from Earlham College this past May with a degree in environmental sustainability. And so in my final semester at Earlham, My fellow seniors and I, we helped write a climate resolution for the city of Richmond, Indiana, which is another Indiana city that has done a greenhouse gas inventory with the IU cohort. And we were really focused on incorporating the concerns of community members into the resolution. And one of the biggest concerns was hotter temperatures and the lack of air conditioning in some marginalized communities there. And so our main goal in writing the resolution was to improve the city's sustainability, resilience, and response to emergencies such as the current coronavirus pandemic and the changing climate. And through that project, I was introduced to Connie Wachala, which I believe is also on the call today. And I've been volunteering with the Region Resilience, which is what we call ourselves, since June. And it's been really awesome to work with this group of people in my area that are also passionate about environmental issues. So I really think it would be great to have a greenhouse gas inventory done here, and I hope you will support the resolution. Thank you.
Ms. Gertz, we thank you for your economy of language and your remarks. Is Earlham still affiliated with the Quaker movement? I think it's the only university that has a Quaker seminary in the country. Is that still true?
I'm not sure if it's the only one with a Quaker seminary, but yeah, we're definitely still focused around
I love
Quaker
those
values.
thoughts about Indiana. And I like that you raised Ms. Wachala and Mr. Bazan. They're two of my 23,000 bosses. So I take special notice when they have something to say. Thank you for coming and sharing your remarks with us today. And I believe the last person to speak to us this morning will be Danny Sipp. I hope I did not.
Oh, hello, sorry.
Welcome. Welcome, Ms. Sipp.
I'm sorry, I won't be speaking today.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
Not at all.
Yeah.
We welcome that. All right. We thank all the people who spoke to us today, hailing from around our catchment area in places like Crown Point, Highland, Griffith, and Michigan City. And we welcomed your comments, and they will inform our deliberation as a commission when we greet the matters on our agenda. I believe that will conclude this item of business with regard to public comment. And it's now in order unless there's a comment from the commissioners for the report of the chair.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
This is Jim Tunn. I believe a point of order, it would be appropriate for me to make a motion to approve the minutes of the 16th of July.
I beg the commission's pardon. You're absolutely correct. Thank you for reminding me of that I missed that item of business. I hear then that you have made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. And which commissioner seconded?
Richard Hardaway.
Thank you, Commissioner Hardaway. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the full commission board meeting, July 16, 2020. Does the mover wish to speak in favor of his motion? I'll bet not. Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to the motion? Hearing none. We have to do a roll call vote because this is a condition of IC 5-14-1.5-3.6, which is the authorizing law for this kind of meeting. Ms. Candace, would you be gracious enough to pronounce the roll?
Yes, I will be calling the roll of the executive board. Tom Dermody?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you, that's okay. Michael Griffin?
Yes.
Richard Hardaway?
Yes.
Justin Keel?
Yes.
Sheila Matias? Okay. Tom McDermott?
Yes.
Ed Soliday? Greg Stinson?
Yes.
Mary Tanis? James Tunn?
Yes.
George Topple?
Yes.
That concludes roll call, Michael.
There are 8
Thank you,
affirmatives.
Mr. Chair. Thank you.
No, thank you for helping correct that mistake on my part. I thank you for that, Commissioner. Having heard 8 affirmatives and no negatives, the motion passes. The minutes are adopted. And now I'll resume. Thank you again. It is now in order for us to hear the report of certain officials. In this case, the report of the chair. I want to briefly talk about 2 matters. as many of the commissioners are aware, this commission adopted a sense of the commission resolution, I believe last September. Wasn't in the current year, I believe. But that sense of the commission resolution pertained to our opinion as a commission that we felt that the governor and the state needed to take certain steps, which included a declaration of emergency to deal with the severe crisis, it's both environmental and economic, along the riparian communities, that is to say the ones along the lakeshore of Lake Michigan, from erosion. To some extent, every one of our communities that border Lake Michigan have experienced it, and some so severe that it's affected infrastructure, where public ways are in risk of collapse. And depending on the community, they have more or less resources that they can marshal to address that. The commission was further informed in a previous report, either by the executive director or me, that we had already had a telephone conference with the director of Homeland Security, a former South Bend fire chief, by the way, and some of his associate directors on this matter. From that conversation, we perceived from that conversation it would be helpful to do some data collection. So Ty, at our request, basically went and marshaled requests from all of the riparian communities to give us an idea of what kind of damage they were facing, an estimate of cost, and a general description of the events. They could give us dates to give it some sort of alignment with an incident would be helpful as well. Ty did that, and that material then was transmitted on behalf of the commission back down to the Department of Homeland Security for their further deliberation. From that, a second phone conference was scheduled with the Department of Homeland Security director and his associate staff that was convened last week between Ty, the executive director, and myself. And during that conversation, I do believe that it was a very fruitful conversation. I think we laid out further our understanding. We had basically pressed them about whether or not we thought that there would be enough information for a declaration to be issued. They agreed that without a declaration, it would be difficult for us to trigger some of the emergency monies that may be available. They further stated that they couldn't make a commitment that that would take place. They were looking for, from some of the data that we did collect, that it has to be tied to an event. And their position has been, as I said in the previous call, that Lake Michigan water levels are cyclical. They come up and they go down, and I'm aware of that. I've lived in Northwest Indiana, except for the time I was away at college all my life, so I understand all of that. I reminded him that hurricanes are cyclical too. They're seasonal. They happen the same way, and apparently wildfires. And I don't make light of that because the severity of what's going on in California is not lost, and also Oregon and parts of Washington. I don't want that to be lost, because the real thing that unites us is that we have our fellow Americans who are human beings who are at risk, and beyond the property and the other kinds of damage that takes place and the life dislocation. They didn't really have a rejoinder to that. We did, though. I do believe it was convivial. We have a sense of comedy. We don't feel adversarial. Our position, I think, was well put. And it did also rescue another matter. Apparently, there was a webinar that had been made available to us, and I had missed that from the first time we met. But they're going to reschedule that is with FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This webinar will allow access of our interested members from especially the communities that border Lake Michigan that have issues because of the erosion matter, to be able to be participants in a webinar that'll be real time. It'll give them information, and you'll be able to connect with officials at FEMA who may be able to give you some further guidance. There may be resources that don't require the trigger of an emergency, for example, that could be made available. I don't want to make it more than it is, but it is a valuable other option that was made available to us apparently from the first meeting. And I apologize to the commission because I took as copious notes as I could, and I simply missed that invitation. But it's been re-offered to us, so I think that was very gracious. The executive director will coordinate and get that information out to be made available to all the members that are affected along Lake Michigan, so that they can have a mutually agreeable schedule, so that that will be the most beneficial to those communities. And our hope is that that will lead to some further assistance or further progress and a path forward on this matter of how severe it is for many of the communities with regard to the erosion matter. And I did want to report on that. I also wanted to report that this kind of a meeting has been very beneficial. We have to sort of learn the skill of Zoom. But as you know, the reason that we're allowed to do this is in consequence of an executive order of the governor, who allowed the statute that I earlier cited to apply to us and to local governments. In ordinary times, that statute only applies to state agencies and redevelopment commissions. That's right, redevelopment commissions. So you could be a city or a town that has a redevelopment commission. It will be continually allowed to have meetings like this, but your city or town council cannot, your plan commission cannot. And I'm not sure why the legislature made that discernment, but they did. So our hope is, I know that on the city and town side, that we're going to advocate that this law be extended to all governing bodies of cities and towns and counties. We have no objection to that. And because Dave Hollenbeck, in his high wisdom and high judgment as an attorney, believes that we don't quite qualify as a state agency, even though we do act in the name of the state in many cases. And because of the nature that specifically applies to NERC, it would be better for us to expressly have language in that statute that applied to NERC. So I think that that should be on our legislative agenda as well. The last matter for my reporting. Many of you may know or may not that NERC, under the leadership of the executive director and under the tasking leadership of Mitch Barloga, managed a Pathways grant that made it possible for us to do some new signage that essentially helped with the linkages of the bike trails in many of our counties. Highland agreed to be the lead agency in an interlocal cooperation entity. I did the fiscal officer stuff, and our park department was happy to be the spending agent, basically the contract agent, to review the contract, supervise construction. That's been done for a little while. And one of the things that we learn as fiscal officers is that if you spend public money, from time to time, you ought to go see if they bought the thing they said they bought. You know, it's one of the basics of internal controls is, you say you bought a new truck, let me go look at it. Make sure it arrived. It's just a little thing. So I decided that I would, because it's one of the few things we can do as a family during the pandemic, I would get back on my bike. And I decided that I need to do that more often because the first time I rode, my legs told me I needed to practice more. But I've been going on the bike trails to visit the signs. My wife and my daughter have been doing it ahead of me, and then we did it together. And boy, we have these great bike paths, and I did not realize all the new connectivity that was out there, but these signs are terrific. I don't know if this was intentional or not, because they go through many communities, but they actually have an architectural or an artistic motif of mid-century modern, and they look great. So I've been trying to take pictures with either my daughter and me or my wife, daughter and me, or just the two of them, as we go to these new places. And my most recent bike ride, I took out of Highland into Hammond. And I wanted to tell the mayor, since he's on, I love your bike path. And I actually posted it on Twitter. I had such a good time. And the signs look beautiful. So we really probably don't see them. They're sort of invisible to us unless you go on them. And there's only a few times that you actually see them if you're going out. But I want to commend both the executive director, Mitch Barloga, for thinking that that would be a good application of NERC. And it's one of the ways NERC can do things under the current law that makes it a convener. So it basically took the current law, stretched it a little bit, not breaking it, and actually following the law, but imaginatively applying it. And now a number of communities have these beautiful signs that give us more regional linkages. And it's a healthy thing to do, and I'm really enjoying it in a way that I didn't know that I would. I'm actually a little anxious that it's going to get too cold in the fall and I won't be able to enjoy it as much. So in any event, my daughter just learned how to ride her two-wheeler this year, and so she's even more enthusiastic than me. I just wanted to commend that to our commission. You should take time to go and see those signs. They're really cool. And there's two kinds of mile markers. Whatever your local entity was responsible for making the pathways, there's those original markers that probably were delineated based on some terminal and start place based on the mileage that you contributed. Highlands is about 3.1 miles for our leg of the Erie-Lackawanna pathway. But there's also stanchions that basically track mileage, I think, from Calumet City all the way to its southernmost point. Mitch, I know you're on. You can correct me if I'm mistaken. And they're distinguishable because they have the common color that's consistent with all the other signage that we have. And it's also contributed to signage that when you hit an intersection where you have multiple paths, unlike Robin Hood, where you have the Little Red Riding Hood, where you have to worry about which way to go, you don't have to worry anymore. Those signages are wonderful. So I just wanted to commend to you that those are tangible ways in which the Regional Planning Commission has assisted local governments to enhance regionalism and the assets that all of us enjoy as part of our bike and pedestrian paths. That concludes my reports. Are there any comments?
that extends to 15th Street over here on the east side to 15th Street in Chesterton. Looks great on the Prairie Duneland Trail as well.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Thank you for that, Commissioner Tun. The next business in order then is our report from the Executive Director, Ty Warner. Mr. Warner, welcome, and we wish to hear from you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First of all, thank you for the comments about the signs. Mitch has put a ton of work into that. And I did see one of the pictures of your family that you kindly shared. And I got to say, your family augments the sign very well. So that was a great shot that you sent. Very good. So, and I also wanted to compliment the chair too, that he actually knows his microphones, that he can identify the type of microphone that is reflected in the icon in your.
That's
in your
just
Zoom
my
window.
nerd cred.
That's really impressive. I know there are several commissioners on this call that have been in their share of garage bands or professional musicians, and so can also back you up or keep you on your toes if they have an alternative opinion on the style of microphone. So we do have that. We have a very talented set of commissioners here. First thing I wanted to say is that just to let you know that staff is back in the office on a limited basis on an alternating staff schedule. So we're still largely remote, but staff is working 2 days out of the week. The office is open, of course, and you can contact us all week long. But staff is back occasionally on a limited basis. But again, I just am very thankful to staff that we haven't skipped a beat through this, and the remote operations have worked just fine. But I just wanted to let you know that there are people here now Monday through Thursday. For my my report, I decided to group things in our areas that are outlined in our enabling statute. So first, talk a little bit about some things related to environmental issues. Secondly, to economic development, and thirdly, to transportation. So on the environment front, the chair already briefed you on the erosion issue and the great call that we had with the folks at the Department of Homeland Security. I have not heard yet, and I know they were checking on the availability of FEMA to hold the workshop that the chair mentioned. As soon as I get that information and we have some dates, I'll be sure to distribute that. The other thing that they were kind to put on our radar screen is that FEMA has a notice of funding availability out for what's called BRIC, B-R-I-C, Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities. And these are hazard mitigation assistance grants. And that will be opening September 30th with a deadline of January 29th in 2021. Again, that's the BRIC grants, and I will forward the information to the commission so that you have the information on that funding opportunity when so you can be ready to jump on that when it opens on September 30th. I also wanted to mention with our partners at South Shore Clean Cities, I know Lori Kegel is on this call. I just wanted to particularly congratulate two of our communities that got spotlighted recently. First of all, the city of Hammond, which won an award at the South Shore Clean Cities Clean Air Partners for Clean Air Award for, I believe, focused on their extensive trail development that the mayor has been such a strong leader on. That was mentioned earlier by Mr. Griffin. So congratulations to the city of Hammond on that award from the Partners for Clean Air. And then also in the Federal Highway Administration newsletter, NERPC and South Shore Clean Cities and the city of Hobart were spotlighted in a congestion mitigation and air quality spotlight within that newsletter for Hobart's alternative fuel project. Which was great to get that national exposure for the good work going on at Hobart, and a good example for our region. So I just wanted to take a quick moment to congratulate both Mayor McDermott and Mayor Snedeker, who are both on this call on those.
Thank you, Ty. Appreciate it, and Michael. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you for leading the way here in Northwest Indiana. It's very much appreciated. And then on the economic development front, a quick note, as you know, with the Economic Development District designation, we become the recipient of CARES Act funds. And so part of what we've been trying to do is assist communities in applying for the grants that were made available through the CARES Act for economic development to help with recovery from the coronavirus. Gabrielle Buchanan, who's our Economic Development District Coordinator, has been working extensively with communities to help them through that process. We did receive word from the Economic Development Administration that even though $225 million was available through this region, those funds are dwindling. And if you have been considering getting an application in and have not moved on that yet, they are strongly encouraging that those applications get in the end of September. they don't expect those funds to last. It was a first come, first served thing, as we've said many times. So if you were contemplating that and have not yet put together an economic development application that could benefit from the Economic Development Administration funds, please contact Gabrielle Buchanis. You can contact her through our website, our staff directory there, or feel free to reach out to me and we'll get you connected if you have some applications that you may want to get in. There is a bit of urgency. We'd love to get those funds spent in this region. It's the kind of situation where they will get spent one way or the other. So if you have some projects, we strongly encourage you to apply. And then lastly, a few notes in the transportation front. First of all, you know this ongoing issue with the rail crossings that Mayor McDermott chaired the task force that we had on this issue. Just wanted to let you know that we sent a letter to our congressional representatives on behalf of NERC about provisions that were in the proposed transportation bill that spoke to specific rail crossing issues. We sent this out to the rail crossing task force folks to suggest that those provisions get carried over into the Senate. So we have made that case that those provisions may get maintained. And then also Senator Braun's office just put on the radar screen that Senator Braun was, I didn't check real recently, so I don't know the exact status of this. And I'm not sure if Tony or anybody from Senator Braun's office is on the call. But Senator Braun was attempting to introduce a bill to increase funding for rail crossings, and we would love to get support for that if that materializes and has a number, et cetera. So I will follow up on that, and I just wanted that to be on your radar screen. Just three more quick things. First of all, you should be aware, and your engineers in your community should be aware that we have a notice of funding availability that was released on September 11th. These are for projects for federal funds through NERC for 2025 and 2026. That call for projects is open until October 21st. Again, your community should be aware of that, but just wanted to make sure that you were extra aware of that. And there's a virtual workshop that will be taking place on September 29th at 9:30 a.m. So that is out, and please contact Charles Bradsky, who you'll be hearing from Charles later on this call, but please contact Charles if you have any questions or need any assistance with the notice of funding availability for that. And then I do not want to steal Matt's thunder when we get to the NDOT report, but repetition is good. So I'll go ahead and say it now, and he can say it again later, that the Community Crossings grant call for projects, they have released that. Beginning, I believe, on September 25th, closing on October 23rd. He can clarify that, especially when we get to the NDOT report, but thanks to NDOT for opening that back up again. Great program. Again, those funds do not come through NERC, but we do want you to be aware that they're available to you. And then the very last thing that I want to say is that we received this award from the American Planning Association of the Indiana chapter for outstanding transportation planning for NWI 2050, which you approved, which is our regional transportation plan. Now that we are back in the office, we will get this mounted in some prominent location, but congratulations to you all having worked on that plan and adopted it, and great to get that recognition for the outstanding work that you all did and that staff has done on that regional plan. So thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. Are there any questions from the members of the Executive Board to the Executive Director? Very well. The next business in order is item 7. This is the Environmental Management Policy Committee, chaired by the kind and able Lake County Surveyor, Commissioner Bill Emerson. I know he is with us. Commissioner Emerson.
Oh, well, thank you for that nice introduction, Chairman. The Environmental Management Policy Committee met on September 3rd, and we discussed in detail and did a real deep dive into the Indiana University Environmental Resilience Institute program, cohort program that you heard a lot from in the public comment period. And we'd asked that the Executive Committee approve the Resolution 2024 allowing NERC to be the regional applicant for this program. I think if I can editorialize a little bit, I think it's a really good way, and I think that's kind of exactly what NERC should be doing, allowing a program like this to some smaller communities to do it in a way that's really cost effective, and I think it's going to be a great impact on the community. I think it's a really good program. I want to thank Kathy Luther and Ty for really coordinating all this, especially right now with everything we have going on. It might be a lot to take on, or you might think it might be a lot to take on, but I think it is important. You can see there's a lot of community support for it, and I think NERC is the appropriate body to kind of do this. We want to make sure that all the great work that we've done, NERC, South Shore Clean Cities, obviously you mentioned the city of Hammond and Hobart, a lot of the great work in environmental work that they've been doing is taken into account and it's done correctly, and it's a regional approach. So we'd ask, and I think Kathy Luther's on the call as well. She may want to comment on some of the details of the resolution as well. But I really hope we can support this and we can vote to support it. Thank you.
Thank you all. Can you hear me? I had to, for some reason, I can only connect by phone. So
you're coming through fine.
Very well.
Okay.
I hear you.
Okay. Good morning. I wanted to add that Resolution 2024 is the result of several months of dedicated organizing on the part of the members of the Northwest Indiana Regional Resilience Organization, many of whom spoke during the public comment period. Members first approached me last fall about the possibility of sponsoring a regional application for the IU Environmental Resilience Institute intern program. The program allows cities, towns, and counties to apply for a partially subsidized intern to conduct greenhouse gas inventories for their community. Initially, I told them that I would consider sponsoring a regional application, but I really would need local government support in the form of political will, staff support, and financial resources. In effect, I view this as a shared services agreement so that regional communities can obtain these interns at less cost to each community. I have to say I was very impressed when they contacted me. I think it was just last month, and they had resolutions of support from Lake and then LaPorte County demonstrating that the political will was there. So since that time, I've met with group members several times, with regional partners such as South Shore Clean Cities, also engaged in these type of activities, and the Institute. And I believe that the resolution captures the ingredients required to create a successful application and regional project. There are, so the resolution authorizes NERC to apply, but there are some conditions we need and commitment from you all. We need letters of commitment from at least 3, and preferably 5 local governments. The staff at the Institute recommended that 2 interns could manage maybe 5 community inventories. So with 2.5 per intern, then I need 3 to get 2 interns. And 5 would share the cost further. Should our application be successful, we would require the local units to enter into a memorandum of understanding, committing to providing a staff person to assist the intern locally, and to commit financially to providing a share of the stipend. IU requests $1,500 per intern, and as well as NERC administrative costs before we enter into a contract. So that's specifically what we think it would take. NERC can't do this alone. It would not be a successful project if it's just NERC staff and the interns. So I guess with that, I would add, if anybody has any questions about the resolution for myself or for Mr. Emerson, I'd be happy to answer them.
Commissioner Emerson or Kathy, I want to get a sense of your timetable. What is the timetable for, if the resolution passes, what is the timetable for local governments to our counties, any of the participating units, to get back to you with a letter of commitment? And secondly, if the resolution passes, do you think $1,500 would be the maximum liability that a participating unit would have, or is do you have a rough figure for the budget? I'm sorry to be a fiscal officer. It's kind of force of habit.
Nope, it's okay. So the applications are due on December 3rd, I believe. I'm
Okay.
looking for someone to nod. Yes. Okay. So ideally, I would have the commitment letters the last week in November, which is probably Thanksgiving, so that I can prepare the application with all the right names and communities. Actually, the $1,500 is a stipend per intern. There's an additional fee depending on the size of the community. It could be $200. I think in Northwest Indiana, only Hammond or a county would have to pay the $300 for units over 50,000 in population.
Right.
That is for a ICLEI subscription to a database portal that is used for the data. So we thought the community should pay that directly. And then in addition, we've estimated $2,760 in administrative cost for NERC to house it intern, provide them access to all of our IT and phone services, printing, and all the other kind of overhead that we accrue as an agency. So depending on how many communities, then they would have to pay, or the size of your community, you would pay $200 to $300 for the ICLEI, which is the International something local units. I don't know. It's a International Climate Coalition of Cities and Towns. And then a prorated share of the 1,500 and a prorated share of the 2,760.
Oh, those would be prorated. Okay, because that's even less than I thought. All right, because I was looking at a maximum commitment of between 4,460 and 4,560 or 5,000, but you're saying that two of those components would be pro rata. So the 200 or 300 would be a direct cost to the participating unit, and then depending on the number of units they would share per intern, the 2,760 and the 1,500, if I understood that correctly.
Right. So if we have 2 interns and then, but there's 5 communities, then we could divide that all by.
Totally makes sense to me then.
5.
Got it. Thank you. And I thank the committee chair. Is there anything further for the executive board to consider from the Environmental Policy Committee's report?
No.
Very well. Then we received that this is a favorable action, a recommendation for approval of resolution 20-24. It would be in order at this time for members of the executive board to, the chair would welcome a motion to approve.
So moved.
Move to adopt. Greg Stinson will second that.
Okay, I heard Commissioner Tunn and Commissioner Hardaway both move to adopt. Flipping a coin, Commissioner Tunn, you will be recognized in the minutes. And Commissioner Stenson seconds it. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none. Ms. Eklund, would you be gracious to pronounce the roll?
Yes, first, Tom Dermody,
Yes.
Michael Griffin,
Yes.
Richard Hardaway,
Yes.
Justin Keel,
Yes.
Tom McDermott,
Yes.
Greg Stinson,
Yes.
James Tunn,
Yes.
George Topple, George Topple.
He appears to be
I see a
giving a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes the roll call with 8 affirmative.
Right, 8 affirmatives, no negatives. The motion passes. The resolution is adopted. And we, you're very welcome. We once again thank the members of the Environmental Management Committee. Thank you, Ms. Luther. I know that you had a lot of heavy lifting on this as well. And we want to thank the volunteers from the Northwest Indiana Sustainability Group for their industry and passion for this matter. My hope is that we'll follow up with, I'm going to talk to my community about participating financially. I know where the money is, so I'm sure that we can do that, because this doesn't really, as many demands exceed our resources, this would not be one that's a problem. And I just want to say this tonight. This is when I think NERC is at its best, when we convene, which is one of our powers, and we persuade we manage something that is best managed regionally by having the participating entities be appealed to in this manner. So I'm hopeful that we can see this through to something successful and we can get some interns or externs, whatever the case may be. This doesn't seem to be a bad thing. I know that we don't have the organizational capacity to be able to do this worthwhile project, but if we can share with other people, what is it that they said? Everything I need to know in life I learned in kindergarten, Robert Fulghum. He said to look both ways, and it's always easier when you share and you hold hands before you cross the street. So I want to thank Commissioner Emerson and the committee and Ms. Luther for giving us a chance to hold hands before we cross the street. Is there anything further from the Environmental Policy Committee? I believe there is.
No, there's not. No, there's not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, commissioners, for your vote.
Thank you. The next business in order is the report of the Finance and Personnel Committee. The Treasurer and Commissioner Richard Hardaway, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Finance and Personnel Committee met this morning to review the financial reports for July and August 2020. Also reviewed were the bank reconciliations and claims registered for both months. There were 2 actions for consideration today, and they come highly recommended for approval by the Finance and Personnel Committee. At this time, I will turn it over to staff to be presented.
Thank you. Good morning. This is Gabrielle Vichunas. I will present 2 resolutions for you this morning. First resolution is 20-25 found on page 12. And this is amending the management plan for the LaPorte County Revolving Loan Fund to relax certain policies and provide greater flexibility of the program and to help address impacts of COVID-19 on small businesses. The LaPorte County Revolving Loan Fund Board and the Economic Development Administration have both approved the management plan amendment. The second resolution is 20-26, found on page 13, and that is adopting the management plan for a regional revolving loan fund for Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security, or known as the CARES Act. The Economic Development Administration has awarded NERPC $583,000 to capitalize and administer a revolving loan fund to make loans available to the small businesses within NERPC's 3-county region that have been impacted by the coronavirus. And as a designated economic development district, this new regional revolving loan fund program will further support and enhance the economic development efforts within our region. And if there are no further questions, the Finance and Personnel Committee favorably recommends the approval of resolutions 20-25 and 20-26 to the Executive Board.
I thank you, Ms. McCunis, and I thank the chair, who is both kind and able as well, Commissioner Hardaway, as our treasurer. If there's no objection from the members of the Executive Board, and I don't hear any protests from our learned counsel, the chair would not object to a motion to adopt both of these resolutions in that the subject matter is similar. One involves a specific revolving loan fund for LaPorte County, and the other basically deals with our fund under the EDA. I don't hear any objection of any kind, so the chair will entertain a motion to adopt both resolutions 20-25 and 20-26.
Motion to approve at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hardaway moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll make the second. George Topple.
Right. Commissioner Topple seconds. It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolutions 20-25 and 20-26. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Ms. Eklund, would you be gracious and pronounce the roll?
Yes, sir. Tom Dermody.
Yes.
Michael Griffin.
Yes.
Richard Hardaway.
Yes.
Justin Keel.
Yes.
Tom McDermott.
Yes.
Greg Stinson.
Yes.
James Tunn.
Yes.
George Topple.
Yes.
That concludes roll call.
Okay, I had 7 affirmatives. Did we miss somebody there? Maybe I did.
I did get all 8.
All right, thank you. That just was my failure to count. With 8 affirmatives and no negatives, the motion passes. Resolutions 20-25 and 20-26 are adopted. I thank the members. The next business in order then is a report from the, I beg I didn't mean to move ahead too fast. Commissioner Hardaway, does that conclude the report from the Finance and Personnel Committee?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for moving so quickly. The Technical Planning Committee, chaired by the surveyor, the venerable surveyor of Porter County, both kind and able as well, and Commissioner Kevin Britsky, if you would like to present for that committee, you are welcome to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Technical Planning Committee met using virtual mode Tuesday, September 8th. There are two actions for consideration today. Each one has been recommended by TPC. The first is Resolution 2022 that can be found on pages 17 to 18 of your packet, pending any changes that might have been made since I received it. And the Resolution 2023, which is on pages 21 to 22. The full report of the committee is from pages 14 to 42 of your packet. Now I'd like staff to present on each of these.
Thank you, Mr. Britsky. This is Scott Weber. I'll present on the first items that you see under item 9 on the agenda about MOVE NWI. MOVE NWI is the congestion management process for Northwestern Indiana, which is a framework plan for how our region can collectively better manage traffic congestion. The last time our region adopted a congestion management process was back in 2011. A congestion management process is federally required because NERC manages a region of over 200,000 people. In fact, we manage a region of 760,000 people approximately. So the first item I want to call to your attention about MOVE NWI is related to the public comment report, which you can find on page 18 of your agenda packet. The MOVE NWI plan was put out for public comment for a 21-day period in accordance with Engage NWI, which is our public participation plan, from August 10th through August 31st, 2020. There were no public comments received. However, we did receive numerous productive dialogue with INDOT, FHWA, and other partners at metropolitan planning organizations about this plan. The second item I want to call to your attention about MOVE NWI is related to Resolution 20-22, which you can find on pages 17 to 18 of the agenda packet. Resolution 20-22 seeks to adopt MOVE NWI as NERC's congestion management process. The Technical Planning Committee brings Resolution 20-22 before you this morning with its favorable recommendation from its meeting on September 8th, 2020. The MOVE NWI document itself that is referred to in Resolution 20-22 can be found as a separate bullet point in the meeting announcement that was emailed out to you.
Thank you,
I can entertain any further.
I appreciate that. We're going to treat these like we did the others, consent agenda items. So if we could hear reports also on 20-23, and then after the full report of the committee, I'll invite action by the board.
Thanks. Charles Bratsky will have the other item, 20-23.
Commissioners, do you, members of the executive board, do you have any questions for Mr. Weber? I hear none. Mr. Weber, thank you. Okay, Mr. Britsky, how are you today?
I think he means Charles Bratsky.
Charles Bratsky, I'm sorry. That's who I meant. Charles?
Sitting next
Charles,
to
I think
him
you're
at
muted.
Charles?
How's this?
That's better.
It's
How's
great.
this?
And thank you for that
Okay.
wonderful illustration of the pregnant pause.
Good morning. My name is Charles Bratsky. NERC held its 21-day public comment for this amendment number 10, from August 14th to September 4th of 2020. The amendment and the list of projects were made available on NERC's website, and however, no comments were received from the public. NERC also sent this list of projects to the Interagency Consultation Group for their comments prior to putting this list of projects on its website. NERC received minor comments from the ICG, and approval was given on August 26, 2020 or earlier. This report is on page 19 and 20. Would you like me to continue and discuss the amendment?
please.
If anybody on the board have any objections to continuing or anyone a question to this point? Hearing none, Mr. Bradsky, please proceed.
Okay, good. This amendment comprises of 17 projects and covers fiscal years 2020 to 2024 and is on pages 21 to 42. There were seven projects had local sponsors and 10 projects were sponsored by 2 state agencies, INDOT and Indiana Department of Natural Resources. So the breakdown is 2 projects were added to the TIP for the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. 1 project was the City of Gary adding design funds from changing funds from their construction to their design for their 1220 project. LaPorte County added 3 projects. 1 was a project for sidewalks in Union Mills, a bridge replacement and right-of-way funds for the Lincoln Trail extension from Westville to Purdue Northwest. Lake County added 1 bridge replacement project. Michigan City eliminated a project in fiscal years 2022. Portage added demonstration funds from their construction for their construction for their Chrisman Road resurfacing project. And then the 8 projects from INDOT were broken down into the following. There were 3 bridge replacements, 1 intersection improvement, 1 overhead sign inspection project, 1 statewide safety consultation project, and then 2 projects related within the local tracks in Gary on Clark Road. INDOT has created 2 DES numbers for every local tracks project. 1 is for the road work and 1 is for the bridge itself. That way INDOT can track the work done on bridges more easily. So, and Clark Road has no bridge, so therefore 1 project is being eliminated. Are there any other questions?
Members of the committee, if there aren't any, Mr. Britsky, do you want to add anything as chair of the committee?
No, other than to repeat again, TPC has recommended approval of both resolutions on the consent agenda.
Well, thank you. I want to say, if this has been done before, I've actually said something in noticing. I do notice the new format with the color coding, and I do like it. It's a little easier to go through to identify each of the projects in this amendment. So I don't know where that originated. I just want to commend it.
That was staff.
Staff.
As an engineer, I like color.
Yeah, I do like it too. It does make it easier to follow. I do like it a lot. All right, the chair will entertain then a motion if there's a will from the commissioners to approve the matters of the consent agenda for TPC. That would be to adopt resolutions 20-22 and 20-23.
So moved.
Is that
Second from Greg Stenson.
Thank you. I think it's Commissioner Tan and Commissioner Stenson seconding. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Ms. Eklund, will you again please pronounce the roll?
Yes. Tom Dermody.
Yes.
Michael Griffin.
Yes.
Richard Hardaway.
Yes.
Justin Keel.
Yes.
Tom McDermott.
Yes.
Greg Stinson.
Yes.
James Tunn.
Yes.
George Topple.
Yes.
That concludes roll call.
Thank you. 8 affirmatives, no negatives. The motion passes. Resolutions 20-22 and 20-23 are adopted. I thank the members, I thank the committee, and I thank the staff.
Thank you,
Nothing
Mr.
further.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
I have one more thing, as mentioned by Ty, and we can't repeat this enough. The notice of funding availability is currently underway until October 21st, and I can't emphasize enough that the engineering representatives of our communities and counties attend the workshop September 29th, and I'd like Charles Bradsky to mention or make a presentation on that as well.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, so NERC staff, along with TPC working group, met several times in the past year to iron out some of the deficiencies of the last SNOFA and to overall improve this year's application. The NOFA, as our esteemed director has noted, is open now, and applications are being accepted until October 21st. We're looking for projects in fiscal years 2025 and 2026. The application is similar to the previous NOFA applications from 2 years ago. However, there's more questions relating to project management in the hopes that we can minimize or avoid future risks. We encourage local communities to meet with us one-on-one before October 16th to discuss any potential projects with NERC staff. These meetings can also be virtual if participants request. One of the issues we had last time were maps, and so now they are integrated into the application, making it much more simpler. Once completed, communities will upload their projects into a Google form. So therefore, the community as well as NERC staff will get a delivery receipt upon successful upload. And with that upload, after October 21st, we can provide a spreadsheet to anyone requesting of all the potential projects and the details. So this helps improve transparency, one of the other caveats of the last NOFA. The application for transit operators has been simplified, so they are extremely happy about that. Some of them submitted dozens of projects. And lastly, more time will be given to topical committees to review, discuss, and score all the projects in depth before their February TPC meeting. So there won't be any hour-long, multi-hour-long reviews of projects where we just kind of glossed over everything like we did last time. So, and that's it.
Thank you, Charles. The staff's done an outstanding job preparing this. It's been a yeoman's work, and they've taken the corners off many of the rough edges of this overall NOFA this time around. So we'll bear any criticisms that come up, but I think it's a much improved process. I think the executives will be pleased. Having said that, the next meeting for Technical Planning Committee is scheduled for Tuesday, October 6th at 10 a.m. And NERC staff will keep us informed whether this is going to be an in-person meeting or virtually based on the governor's directives. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Britsky, and I thank the members of the committee. I also thank the staff people for their presentation today. Thank you all.
Thank you.
The next business in order is our NDOT report from Matt, who is our LaPorte District Deputy Commissioner.
Good morning, everybody. As Ty mentioned earlier, which I'm glad he did, as he said, I agree repetition is really important. If you have not heard, lots of good news yesterday from Commissioner Joe McGinnis of NDOT, along with the governor, that community crossings is back this month. As we talked about earlier this year, July was the original plan for the call for projects, but in the face of COVID-19, obviously that would need to be reevaluated. We were looking to September to make some sort of announcement, and I'm could not be more happy than to say that it is happening now, the call. So the call is actually opening a week from tomorrow. That's the 25th of September. And then it closes on Friday, October 23rd. So let's get those projects in. Obviously, I know that there was some disappointment in July that this wasn't able to happen then, but I'm very pleased that we were able to make this happen. It's something that's near and dear to, I know, the governor and the commissioner, as well as myself, to make these projects possible. So just want to stress that to you. We have resources at NDOT if you have questions, but I know a lot of you are very familiar with the process. Any questions on that before I move forward? I got a couple more items I wanted to address. Okay, moving forward, I just wanted to let everyone know, as I'm sure your communities are doing the same, we're getting ready for winter. Last year was not as bad as many years in the past. but we always plan for the worst and hope for the best. So that's what we're doing again this year. I am excited to tell you that I don't know when the new equipment will be available from a public standpoint, but we are working with our plow drivers and putting in new equipment in our plows. That's very exciting. It's essentially additional tracking to what we've already done in the past. And we're looking towards, at some point in the future, a public-facing operation that folks will be able to go on and see when a plow has passed in certain areas online. This is something that Michigan and other states have done. We've been aiming for this for a number of years, as long as I've been in NDOT, and I'm excited to say that it's coming much closer. So the reason why this is beneficial, I'm sure those folks in the communities that are plowing snow hear it all the time themselves, that people calling in and I have not seen a plow in 7 hours, and we can go and check the log and all that, but this time we can log on to a system and see the actual breadcrumbs of when a plow driver has gone through. And like I said, something public facing hopefully will be coming in the near future. I hope to see it this season. But that's something that's going to help from a customer service standpoint, but even more importantly, it's going to make our plow drivers be even more efficient. We can address their speed and their output of salt and other, whether their plow blade is down or not. So it just continues to add efficiencies to our removal of snow and ice. So I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping that we'll see some benefits to that this season. So I wanted to share that with you. The last thing I was going to mention was the work on 94 and 65. I know many of you are driving through that frequently, and we are coming to a close very soon. Specifically 65, we're way ahead of schedule. We're looking at mid-October to have everything removed out there. We were looking originally to the end of November, so we're moving along quickly. And then 94 work should be wrapping up within about that same time frame too, so mid-October or so. So we'll be getting those restrictions off the roads for you, and hopefully getting that traffic flowing even better right before winter hits. That's the last of my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Hey, Matt, Rich Hardaway from Maryville. What are you guys doing to the islands on Broadway? I see you guys are out there cleaning them up or something.
You know, off the top of my head, I'm not exactly sure what that work is, but I can certainly look into it and get back to you. I know there is work going on out there. I cannot remember if that was actually us or the locals, but I have seen it myself. So let me double check into that and I can get some answers back to you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Matt, this is Greg Stinson from the town of Porter. I just wanted to thank you and compliment the work that was done on Route 20 at the Waverly Road intersection, where you've completed the work adding the left turn lanes. I've heard a number of compliments from residents and others on just how much that has improved traffic and safety on that particular stretch of 20. So thank you.
That's good to hear. I was looking forward to seeing some safety improvements there myself, so I'm glad to hear that other folks are seeing that.
Matt, Jim Tunn.
I'm sorry, Greg, you were saying something else?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't have data, but I know it's at least perceived by everyone, including our police and everyone else, as being much less congested and much safer at this point. So I'm hoping the data bears that out.
That's good. And as we all know from our constituents, that perception seems to be reality oftentimes. So that's a good one on this time.
Yes, it is. Thanks.
Good. Mr. Tunn, you had something?
Yes, Greg, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were through up. Excuse me, please, for that. I wanted to see if you could give me an estimate on the 49 over 94 bridge resurfacing, a date for maybe getting that cleaned up.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head on that one either, but I'll definitely get back to you later today with that answer.
Okay, email would be fine. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Tying things up, but it has to be done, so we understand that.
You betcha. I understand.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have anything for Matt? Very well.
All right. Thank
Matt,
you, everyone. Good to see you virtually.
Indeed.
Yes.
Thank you again. We've now come to the place in our agenda for other business. Does the members of the executive committee have anything for us to consider for for other business? I beg your pardon.
Michael Griffin.
I am he.
This is Bob Carnahan.
You are.
When we did the pledge, I did not hear one nation under God.
I believe I said it.
Okay, I didn't hear it, so I just wanted to lift that up.
Fair enough, but I can look at the tape, but I'm pretty sure I said it. It's force of habit. It wouldn't be anything I would have omitted anyway.
Yeah, I know you would.
Yeah. I will say that I've done a number of these where meetings begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And it is very difficult because there's different delays depending on what system you're on, because this all comes through the internet, the magic internet. And because of different broadband width, you can either be synchronized or not synchronized. And sometimes it can sound like a cacophony. So it wouldn't surprise me that you didn't hear it. I believe that, but it probably was uttered. It's just hard to hear because it gets to be a din after a while. And people get tentative about starting whenever they do something in unison in this platform. So,
Bob, this is Kevin Brightsky. Rest assured, many of us believe in using that phrase when we say the pledge, adamantly.
I appreciate that.
very well. Is there any other business before the commission today or before the executive body? Does anyone wish to then offer announcements?
Yes. Bob Carnahan again.
Hi.
The census ends September 30th. And Nicholas Elliott, our Lake County rep, has been working up north because of the low numbers. And I'm very happy for the surrounding communities surrounding Cedar Lake. They are doing a fabulous job, a lot better than Cedar Lake.
Oh.
And I'm proud of them, but I want Cedar Lake to do better than what we're doing. And we've got till September 30th, and I would like us all to help up in Whiting, East Chicago, Hammond, and Gary to help their numbers go up too. So if anybody else can help them, let's all try to work together to make this thing a success for all of us.
Well, I'm sure since the last census, Cedar Lake has experienced considerable delta in your, I just said delta to impress the engineers on the call, on the meeting. It's considerable change in its population. I know in Highland's case, we only had one of our census blocks where our response rates are not at the 2010 levels, but in every other case, they either matched or exceeded them. So I feel pretty positive about that, but I'm still nervous about this census as well. So your message is well-timed and well-received. I thank you for that, Commissioner Carnahan. Are there any other announcements today?
If I may jump back in for 1 second, just Mr. Tun, I have an answer to his question. It was November 1st is when that work will be cleaned up. If you don't mind me popping in there for the announcements, just to knock that off the list.
No, it's we welcome that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Does anyone else have announcements? I do want to remind every member of the executive committee and every member of the full commission. At 11 o'clock today, we have our exit conference with the State Board of Accounts, our external auditors. And I think all of us, oh, please.
I think it's 11:30.
11:30, thank you for that correction. Oh, that'll be quite a wait then, okay. But 11:30 is when it's been scheduled in anticipation of this morning meeting. I want to remind everyone that they are welcome as members of the governing body, whether you're an executive board member or not. It will be conducted virtually. It will be a different link you received today from for this meeting, and it was sent out. So if you want to email back to NERPC, I hope that's okay, Ty. If you didn't get it or it's lost in all of your emails, it can be resent or forwarded to you. It actually was sent not from NERPC, but sent by the lead examiner for the State Board of Accounts. That's part of their control regime. So they have to send it to make sure it went out to everybody. You should have it somewhere in your email. I hope it isn't in your spam filter. And you're more than welcome to join at 11:30. You're encouraged to join. And remember that that is one of the exceptions that got written into the law. Even if we convene and have well over a quorum at that meeting, it doesn't trigger Open Meeting Act violations. In fact, it's except for the, I forgot what the difference is in the law, but it's treated much like an executive session would be treated. And so that the conversations in there are relatively confined It's not a public meeting in that sense. And although the state board doesn't say this and the law is silent, it says in every other way we follow that pattern. So I know that when I have these meetings, I develop a memorandum like I would for any other executive session where I track who is there. I have everybody sign. I hope that pencil's sharp. I hope that everybody else signs, they certify that that's all that was discussed. So, having heard that, is there any other business to come before the executive board this morning?
If I could, I just wanted to indicate the next meeting is October 15th and will also be an executive board meeting.
Thank you, Ty, for that. Knowing that we have concluded the agenda, there's no more business before us. First, I want to commend all of you for the service that you exhibit and present to your local communities, your counties, or your cities and towns, or your townships. Thank you for that. That matters. And collectively, it is an expression of the value of public service. And I also, in light of all of that, especially thank you for the time that you commit here as a member of this regional commission. And I thank the executive director and his staff for all that they do to support our work in trying to advance the region's interests in a better Northwest Indiana. Having concluded all the matters before us this morning, I declare that this meeting is adjourned. Have a great day, everyone. I hope I see many of you at 11:30 for the exit conference. Take care.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, everybody.